Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation on BRT2 TV. This week in the studio I have a new friend. We met on Facebook. We were introduced by a mutual friend. A big thank you to Maria Chappell. And I would like to say a warm welcome to Mr. Ismet Ustuner. And we'll be talking about his book and about his life as well. So let's find out more about this lovely man. First of all, Ismet, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here. Now, we have a book in Turkish, but you are now in the process of writing this book in English. We'll be talking about the book a little bit later on. But first of all, can you tell us a bit about yourself, Ismet Ustuner? Where are you from originally?
Well, originally I am from Iktima, Paphos. I was born there, went to primary school. Then, that was in 1942 I was born, so I am an old.
No, you're very young, very young.
Okay, so then I went to the English school in Nicosia, the famous English school. And from there, I went to England. I spent 1 year in Manchester. And then I went to London University. I graduated 1967. And immediately I started work with CEGB in those days, Central Electricity Generating Board. I was there for 2 years doing research and development, and then I got transferred to General Electric Company, and I stayed there until 1976 when I came back to Cyprus. But coming back to Cyprus was not really planned. I was on holiday in Cyprus, 1976, and I met my old friend in the street, Erdil Nami. And we were chatting, and he says, "Why don't you come and work for us? We need you." Oh, I said, "Then I need you." so that's how I was offered a job with Sanayi Holding. That's the Cyprus Turkish Industrial Enterprises. That was the holding company managing the factories that was left behind by the Greek Cypriots. So I started there, then I became, after a few months, I became manager of Cyprotube metal pipe factory. Then I became a group manager, and then I became manager for myself, self-employed. After, I think it was at the end of 1986, I resigned and set up my own business. So,
and here you are. Excellent. I mean, it's very unusual for somebody who studied in England at that time to be tempted to come back to Cyprus, because most people, once they leave, I mean, you know, at that time the opportunities were very different. You know, it was a very brave decision for you to leave the UK and come here.
Well, not very brave, because I always had it in my mind, in the corner of my mind somewhere, to come back. I'm an idealist. I like to help my community in any way I could. And it wasn't a risk, because I was offered a job on holiday. I left my wife here, went back to England and worked for a month, gave my notice. I wanted to do it everything properly. Put my house on sale. I gave it to the estate agent and came back. The other reason is my wife studied law at Istanbul University. And then we got married. It was very difficult for her to practice law in England. So that was another advantage. When we came back, she started, she opened her law office. And in fact, she was the first lady advocate in Famagusta. It was a hard time for her to start with, but then people began to accept that ladies can be advocates as well.
So your wife is also very successful in her career, and again, a very brave, a very excellent decision to come back to Cyprus. So when you came back, I mean, as you said, you were originally from Paphos.
Paphos, yes.
From Bath, and then when you came back, you moved to Gazi Mausa.
Gazi Mausa.
That's where you are now, yes, as well, all these years. Since '76, you have become a garga, as they say.
A garga, exactly. Exactly, a gargachi.
And I mean, I love Famagusta, I love Gazi Mausa. I think it's a beautiful area of Cyprus, a very unusual, a very historical town, a very beautiful town to live in. Now,
and the beaches are the best in
Yes,
Cyprus.
the beaches are the best.
Are the best. And free of charge. That's very important. I'm very, I consider it very important that the beaches should be for the people. They should be free of charge. Even if there is a hotel there, the beach is free.
Yes.
At one time, Palm Beach Hotel tried to separate the beach for itself. And the mayor of Famagusta, Oktay Kayal, he immediately intervened and said, no, you cannot fence it off. So it's free for everybody.
Yeah, everyone can come and use the beach. Of course, and it is, I mean, a lovely area to go and swim. The beaches are beautiful, clean. The water is crystal clear.
Yes.
I like the fact that it doesn't get too deep very easily, very quickly.
That's when some people complain about it.
I like it.
They have to walk hundreds of meters.
It's okay, it's good sport.
But it's good for people like me.
Yeah, and it's good for the children as well to play in the water.
Sure.
Now let's talk about one of the reasons why you're here is because you have a book. So where did your interest in writing come, and can you tell us a bit about? I know that it's in Turkish at the moment, and for our English-speaking, English-reading viewers, we'll have to wait a little bit before we have the English version out. But tell us a bit about your literary work.
Well, I wouldn't call it literary. It was just my memories, what I lived through. And I didn't really plan it. I remember it was 7th of July this year, at night, sitting on the veranda in front of my house, very quiet. It was about 10 o'clock in the evening. And I thought, well, people are so interested in the stories that I tell them, what I lived through. Why don't I write a book? I started writing it. And immediately I shared it with my friends on Facebook. I put a link there, and anybody could read it as I wrote it. My wife was absolutely against it. She says, it's full of mistakes, you must correct it before you open it to everybody. I said, no, that's my way. I will correct it later. In fact, at the very beginning I said, this is in raw form. And I am glad that I did it that way, because especially my daughter and other friends started reading it daily, and I heard their comments. And that really encouraged me to write it. And I finished the whole work, including corrections, in 41 days.
Wow.
16th of August, I finished it.
Amazing.
The next day I gave it to the prince.
So really, it was an online encouragement for you as well, because when you got the comments back from your friends on Facebook and everyone could read it as you were writing, it was a process where everyone was involved, helping you to...
Oh yes, and I did get some help, especially from my daughter. In one case, in one court case, it was something to do with her. I will talk about it later. And I couldn't remember some of the details. So she said to me, Dad, it's happened such and such, that was the reason, and so on. So I included those details as well. And another help came from my sister, who lives in Lefka. Her daughter was reading her every day what I wrote, and she filled me in with some details as well. So it was very useful.
Very nice, a very family effort then.
Yes.
Your daughter, your sister helping you out. Now, the book is about, tell us about the book. We haven't told the viewers exactly what the book is about. And let me just show the cover so that if you might remind yourselves, the viewers might remember this. I mean, the book in Turkish is Henüz Unutmadıklarım.
That's right.
Things I haven't forgotten yet.
I haven't forgotten yet because I have such a bad memory. All my friends, my family, they know it. I'm famous for that, or infamous rather. So I was thinking, what heading? And I think the suggestion came from my daughter. Well, you are so forgetful, so these are all the things that you haven't forgotten yet.
Yeah, these are things that you can remember to put in your book.
Yes. And the cover design was by my grandson, who is only 12 years old.
Really?
Yes. But you see, they are involved in computers from very
young age.
And he did this using a standard program.
Excellent. So
But I liked it. And
it's very good. And again, another effort for the family to join in with you and make it a
Yes,
special book for
yes,
you.
yes.
So tell us a bit about I know it's about your memories, let's say your biography in a way,
Yes,
biography. So what tell us a bit about, not everything,
Yes,
so people can go and buy the
sure.
book. Tell us a bit about this book then.
Well, I finished 2/3 of it in English, and that is on the internet as well. Everybody can read it.
Right, so we have,
So
excellent.
it's not a commercial venture. Okay, I'm not sure if I will publish it in English, in hard form.
But people can read it now at the moment.
But people can read it now. If they look at my Facebook page, the link is there.
Okay, so if you find Ismet Ustuner on Facebook, you can find the link. So your memories, I
Yes.
mean, give us a few examples of
Yes,
what type of
okay,
things you
yes.
included.
Well, first of all, I'm an engineer, electrical engineer, and there was no question that I wouldn't be anything else, because I was working with batteries and lamps and so on since I was 5. So
That was your job.
So it was definite that I would be an electrical engineer. But the law is my hobby. and people ask me, why didn't you become a lawyer? I said, no, because engineering is my profession. But law I'm interested in, and I'm interested in law in a very, very serious manner. I do my own cases. I do my own defense, or I start cases myself. For instance, I sued Olympic Airways in England.
Really?
I started that in England, yes. And I had a good few fights with the Inland Revenue, the taxman. I always had my way. So it's useful. And I believe that, especially in Cyprus, if you want to defend your rights, you really have to be good in law. You have to know the law. But even if you know you are in the right, and you go to an advocate to defend you, then you are not gaining anything. Not much, because you will pay the advocate. And you can't be sure how well he is going to defend your case. Now, I do my own cases. I don't need a lawyer.
But what does your wife say, though? I mean, she's a lawyer.
Well, to start with, people used to pull her leg, doesn't Ismet trust you? And he does. But now, not only my wife, even many lawyers come and consult me. So now they accept me that
You know what you're talking about.
that I know what I'm talking about. So they don't pull her leg and forth. In fact, at the end of the book, I have an appendix, which is about checks. I had a study. I made a special study about the law on checks. So I didn't want it to be lost. So I put it in the appendix. And that is very useful for the advocates and the judges, because I noticed that the legal profession are not really very knowledgeable on this matter, because the law is from colonial days. It's chapter 262, and it's written in a very, very difficult formal English language, and the people who are not very good in English cannot really follow it. Now, there is a translation of it in Turkish, but it's not exactly the same. You read it and you don't understand it. Even in English, when I started studying it, that was back in 1977, I found it very difficult. The first 2 months, I couldn't understand anything. I kept reading it and reading it again, and then suddenly everything fell into place.
Yeah.
Now I consider myself an expert in checks. The other thing is, many people know me about the speeding cases. Now you will say, but boy, are you speeding? Honestly, I'm not speeding. But you you forget and you pass the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, traveling from Famagusta to Nicosia, I hardly exceed 75 kilometers.
Yeah.
I drive slowly. But what happens? Suddenly you pass the camera at a higher speed, and then I slow down. and then you get the ticket. Whereas the young people, they come up to the camera at full speed, slow down, pass the camera, and then they are back to top speed. And that's where the danger is. In the old days, we used to have policemen doing speed checks. They could face you anytime, and everybody was careful. Now, I don't see any policemen checking speeds. They left it to the cameras. And now it's much worse. It's very dangerous because the young people drive very fast, except at the very point where the camera is. And this is why, sorry, this is why we have so many fatal accidents these days. We have to change our policies on that.
Yes, I mean, as you say, we used to worry that there could be a policeman on the road. Now the cameras are doing their job, and if you know the road and you know exactly where the camera is, you know to slow down. Everyone knows where they are now. Most of the time.
And the young people don't forget to slow down. It's only us, the older, okay, not old, the older people who may forget. Just pass the camera and then slow down, and then we get the ticket. But you see, I am really very conscious that everything should be done properly. For a start, I never believe that the cameras are calibrated properly. And I challenge them in court for that. And I go on legal points. As I say, law is my hobby, so I like to find loopholes and use it. And there have been a few changes in law because I use the loophole and then they change it.
Right. Very interesting. I mean, this is, as you say, it's like a hobby for you. It's your passion to look at legal matters. I mean, when we think of legal matters here in Northern Cyprus, there's a lot to talk about. The rights of people, legal issues. I mean, I know recently we had a very important story where a lady 4 or 5 years ago passed away in childbirth, and they said it could be the doctor's negligence. And I believe not so long ago, a month ago or something, the family won the case to sue the doctor. Which is, I think, a first in Northern Cyprus history, or one of the first.
One of the first.
In a case like this.
But probably it has gone to appeal. I'm not sure.
Right.
But the district court decided in favor of the family of the deceased. Probably it will go, but it's good start, because what happens in such cases, the doctors never come and give evidence against their profession, against their colleagues. In this case, somehow they got the evidence, but I think the compensation granted by the court, I don't remember the figure. It wasn't much, but still it's a start.
It's a start, yes.
It's a start.
I mean, you've lived in the UK as well, and living here for many years now. I mean, do you ever get to compare? Do you think, in England, this would be, this is not tolerable in England, this situation, but here in Northern Cyprus, what do we do? I mean, it's, there are lots of problems.
It's true. Well, I'm in a fortunate position that if I see anything wrong legally, I follow it up. And in many offices, I tell them, look, this is how you should do it. And they know that if they don't do it, I will sue them. And I have sued them. I sued the municipality, I sued the tax office. Now they know me, and they are very careful with me. So I get my way. And if I don't, I sue them. If I see that they are not doing it right. Just let me give you one example. It's a funny one, actually.
Okay.
I had my book, it was end of September, from the printers. I remember it was a Thursday afternoon. And on Friday, I was in Nicosia. And I went to the company's house. And I wanted papers for a specific company. They looked it up, and they said, this company has not given in their accounts, so we don't give their papers out as a punishment, as a penalty. I said, look, I'm going to sue them. What do I care if they have given their accounts or not? I want their papers to see that their name what name they trade under exactly, and I would sue them. And the lady there said, oh, I see. So ask your lawyer, your advocate, to come and get it, because they give it to advocates for court cases. I had the book with me. I opened a particular page, and I said, look, can you read this? This is my book. I had it from printers only yesterday. And the heading, the chapter, read, please tell your advocate to come and ask for it. It was about them and the land registry office, because they do the same thing there. So she said, what is it? I said, well, please read it. It was only 1.5 pages. So she read it, and I was explaining there why they should give it, because Companies House and land registry, they are public records. They should be given to anyone who asks for it, providing they pay the fee. And this is the reason why any document issued by the Companies House or the land registry, they can be produced in court without the necessity of calling anyone from the office to prove it.
Right.
Because they are public records.
Open to everyone.
Yes. If they are not open to everyone, then they should not be able to produce those in court without them coming along. So I explained that in my book. She read it, and she said, very nice. How much is it? I said, 15 Turkish liras. Is it for sale? Yes. So she paid 15 Turkish liras. She bought the book and said, right, sir. Now, which documents do you want? So,
a very nice story there to show how effective. I mean, if really what it's showing is that we don't know how to stand up for our own rights here.
Oh, another one, which is of interest to our viewers. My sister bought an apartment from Döveç Construction in Famagusta. And I thought I would get involved with the apartment management, because you know in Cyprus, it's not functional, most managements. So I set up the apartment management properly, according to the law. I had it registered with the land registry. Then I had a bank account in the name of the apartment management. And then I wanted the electricity for the stairs and the lift to be connected in the name of the apartment management. They didn't want to do it. They want to register it in the name of a flat owner. I said, no, you have to do it in the name of the apartment management. It's official. I showed them the registration. Look, you have done this for Ismet. Why don't you do it for us? We did it for him to get rid of him, but we couldn't bother with him, they said. So they are back to business as usual. What can I do?
What can you do? But your determination and your knowledge of what's right and what's wrong, what the legal process should be, is important, because we don't fight for this. That's the thing. You know, other people don't realize that, no, if you do insist, if you do it the proper way, they have to follow the rules.
Yes. Oh, in England, for instance, when I joined General Electric Company, they gave me a form to fill in for the tax office. And I claimed some exemption for tools, because I realized that the technicians had, I think, £15 or something like that tax exemption for their tools. Well, I said, the technicians are entitled to that. Me, as an engineer, should be entitled to higher. So I put 20 or 25 pounds. Rejected by the tax office. The technicians, they have their trade unions, and it's a figure agreed with the trade unions. We have no such agreement for you as an engineer. I said, but the law is same for everybody. So I appealed, and I went to a higher tribunal, and there I won the case. and I had the exemption. Now, it wasn't much, but it was the principle.
Yeah.
If the technicians can have tax exemptions, why shouldn't I be entitled to it? Simply because I was not a trade union member was not an excuse, as far as I was concerned. It's a matter of principle.
So you certainly go after your principles.
Yes, yes. Now, the Olympic Airways was a very interesting one.
Tell us about that one then.
That was in 1974. I wanted to come to Cyprus for a holiday. I went to their office at Tottenham Court Road in England. It was there, I remember. And I booked for me and my wife, for July 1974. But in those days, no internet. So they said that I can have the tickets 2 weeks before the flight. I said, fine. How much should I pay? Oh, you don't have to pay anything. I said, no, I want to pay a deposit. I gave them £5 and I got a receipt for it. And on the receipt, it stated the date of the flight. 2 weeks before the flight, I go there and they say, sorry, it's full up. I said, what do you mean it's full up? Well, sorry, maybe we made a mistake, but it's full up. No point in arguing. I said, okay, goodbye. I'm going to British Airways. I will fly with them. They said, but it's full up too. 2 weeks to go, impossible. I said, well, if that is the case, I will fly first class. I'm sure there is room for first class.
Yeah.
They said, yes, but that's too expensive. I said, no problem. You will pay for the difference. Then they took notice of me. The manager came and they said, okay, is it all right? Day flight next day. I said, but that's more expensive. They said, no, you still pay the same. So I paid £75, but on the ticket it was £81, higher price. So that's how I came to Cyprus. That was 13th of July, 1974. 1 week later, 20th of July, the Turkish army came in, and so on. So I went back to England through Akrotiri with a transport plane, Hercules transport plane. So when I went back to England, I asked for half the money, ticket money back. I said, you canceled the flights, so I want half of my money back. I didn't use the return ticket. Well, they said, it's the Turkish army who canceled it. I said, look, that's between you and the Turkish army. Don't mix me.
Don't mix me, yeah.
So anyway, eventually they agreed to pay me with 20% discount. I said, no, I don't accept the 20% because I didn't cancel it. If I cancel it, then you are entitled to a discount.
Yeah.
We couldn't agree, so I sued them personally in England, in London.
Oh, wow.
So we went to the judge in his room first. He listened and said, well, Ismet is right. So they agreed to pay. I said, what about my costs? The judge said, okay, make a list of your costs. So I made the list. Everything okay except one item. You know what that was? I bought a book, How to Sue in the County Court. And I wanted the money for the book as expenses. They said, you have the book, we don't pay for that. I said, look, that was essential. Otherwise, I would have to use a barrister or a solicitor, and you would pay even more.
Yeah.
So
the book as well.
So we couldn't agree. So we went to the judge again, and he was laughing. It was hilarious. So I got the money for the book as well. I told them, you can have the book if you like. But that was
you can have it now. It's yours. You paid for it. Amazing story.
Yes.
And you say to me that you're forgetting things, but you remember everything like it was yesterday. The dates, but obviously these were important times as well. I mean, you can never forget 74, but...
Yes, no, because I told this story so many times, it keeps refreshing my memory.
But excellent. I mean, the thing is, who would think to go to all this trouble? You are right, though, in insisting on getting, your tickets paid by, you were going to threaten them to pay for a more expensive ticket with British Airways, and they gave you a next day flight.
Yes.
Then when the flight was cancelled, you got your money back. I mean, these are things that maybe people wouldn't think about, or, we are too shy to do things like this.
To be honest, I was thinking about this. If it was, say, Turkish Airways, probably I wouldn't sue them. But Olympic Airways, that was the Greek Airlines. And remember the 1974, during the peace operation, as we call it, I was in Cyprus, I was in Lefka, and we were taken prisoners of war as well. I was in it.
Yeah.
And with nationalistic feelings, perhaps that was part of the story. I said, no, I will get my money back.
Yeah. Well, a very, very interesting story. I mean, very interesting read, I'm sure. I mean, are some of these stories in the book as well, yes?
These are all in the book.
All in the book.
And I didn't, as I said at the beginning, I didn't plan to write the book. I started off, no notes, nothing. And I just kept writing. And during the day, if I had a new story in mind, I would make a note of it on the agenda of my phone, and then write it at the bottom of the document.
Yeah.
And that's how I kept writing. I used to sit about 10, 11 at night, very quiet in front of the house until 2, 3 in the morning. And that's how I finished it. It was very enjoyable.
A very nice experience for you to think about your memories and the stories that you have in your mind. You mentioned earlier on about your daughter helping you with one of the stories, and you said you were going to expand on that.
Ah, yes.
She helped you with details.
Yes. I don't remember the year now. She was born 74, so 6 years, that's 74, that's 80, so that was year 1980, it should be. She wanted to study at the Türk Maarif College, the college. So at the age of 11, she took the exam.
Yeah.
And the first exam, it was mathematics. She came out of the class crying. I said, what happened? And she said, they gave them only one piece of rough paper. It was full up. She asked for another, and the teacher wouldn't give her another. Then she started making calculations on the question paper. And the teacher told her off. You are not supposed to write anything on the question paper.
Yeah.
And then in desperation, she started writing on the desk. And of course, she was then really told off. So she was crying. I said, this is not right. Rough paper, if you run out, they should give you another one. So I went straight into the headmaster's room and wrote my objection. And I wanted the examination to be cancelled and redone. So my daughter was encouraged, she was happy, and she took the other exams. Because after mathematics, I think it was geography, history, Turkish, whatever. Then on Monday, that was a Saturday, on Monday I filed the court case at the High Administrative Court, asking for the examination. First I asked for an injunction for the examination results not to be published. And then the examination results cancelled. They gave me a day for Wednesday, which was very good for a hearing.
Yeah.
But on Tuesday, the examination results were out. And my daughter missed by 4 places. So the man from the ministry comes and says, Mr. Ismet, he found out that his daughter did not pass the exam, and he filed the case. And he got a good telling off from the judge. He said, Ismet filed his complaint same day, Saturday. And the case was filed in court on Monday. What are you talking about? And the judge thought I was right. The attorney thought I was right. But they didn't really want to cancel the exam and do it again. It was going to be a big prestige loss for the education ministry as well.
Yeah.
And then we were thinking, what could they do? And they came up with an idea. They said, look, we were thinking of raising the classes from 1 to 2 instead of 30 to take 60 students next year. Maybe we can do it this year. So we postponed it for 1 day. And next day they came and said, okay, we are doing it, we are raising it to 2 classes this year. And that's how my daughter got in together with others. That was a solution.
It was her right though. Maybe she lost those points because of all they made her cry in the exam,
yes.
in the maths exam.
In another class, when my daughter was telling me about this, another her classmate, but taking exam in another class, he said, I took another 2 rough papers from the teachers. So we changed from teacher to teacher.
Yeah, I mean, the teacher,
Not fair.
It's not fair, is it?
No.
And it affects the child. But a very nice story, very interesting story there about amazing how I think that, I think most people are quite impressed with the way Mr. Ismet Ustuner has, dealt with legal matters in the UK and in Cyprus. But I think we should all learn from you, from your actions.
The most interesting one, which I kept telling, especially the lawyers kept asking me, it was the one about speeding. I had many defenses. I never have only one defense. I have a number of legal points always.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the attorney wanted to suspend the case. Now, according to our law, only the Attorney General can ask for suspension. So he produced a letter, a paper from the Attorney General suspending the case, nolle prosequi, as they call it technically. I objected to that. I said, no, I want to know if I'm guilty or not guilty. I want all these legal points to be answered for, cleared. And the judge said, I'm sorry, Ismet, but the law is clear. It's up to the Attorney General. If he says suspension, I have to suspend it. So she suspended the case, which means really the case finished. But I appealed against suspension. And from there, I got it referred to the Constitutional Court. And I argued that if the Attorney General misuses his powers, as in this case, there was no case for suspension. The Attorney General should ask for suspension if he cannot produce, say, an important witness. Maybe he is very ill or out of the country, and one day if he comes, he can restart the case. But I said, there is no such case. The Attorney General was misusing his case in this case, simply because to avoid me winning the case, getting an acquittal. And the attorney argued at the Constitutional Court that it was the same in England. I said, yes, true. In England, it's the Attorney General. Nobody can question it. But in England, the Attorney General has political responsibility. He is a member of the Council of Ministers. This is not the case in Cyprus. And the Attorney General has no political responsibility. And this was the winning point. So I got it. They said it must be, the final word must go to the judge. So we went back to the appeal court. From appeal court, the case was referred back to the district court. And this time, the attorney was determined that he would convict me. So we did the trial for another 3 days, 3 hearings, and I got a proper acquittal on the technical point. And the technical point was very interesting. I kept that to the very last moment. I didn't tell anybody. At the very last moment, I argued that exceeding the speed limit was not illegal according to the law. There was no such clause. They sued me under speeding, endangering life. I said, that's another case. Nothing to do with exceeding the speed limit. I explained it to court exactly why. And the court accepted that, and I got an acquittal. And in a week or so, they changed their law, saying, if you exceed the speed limit under this clause, you are doing dangerous driving. Okay.
I have learnt a lot from you, Ismet Bey. I think it's really, really interesting that you have come up with all these points. You have read up on the law, on the way that you can, as you say, find the loopholes,
yes,
and maybe even change some,
There have been a few law changes because of my court cases, because of the loopholes.
So they don't fall into the same trap again they did with you. But very, very interesting. Now, talking about the book, the Turkish language book, where can people buy this book now? Where is it available?
Well, at Deniz Plaza, they are on sale. Galeri in Nicosia, Galeri Kültür Işık Kitap Evi as well.
As well. And it's for 15 TL?
15 Turkish lira.
15 Turkish lira. And this came out, in...
end of September.
End of September, so it's a very new book for you.
It is new.
And I'm sure you've got a lot of fans already reading this because they read it on Facebook.
Well, the one that I'm very, very happy about is in one secondary school, final year. Their teacher read them a few chapters, and they were fascinated about it. And now they are planning to call me to the school about February after the exams. I will have a session with their students for about 2 hours. They are planning. And I'm telling them, just don't limit it to the book. You can ask me anything about engineering, technical matters.
Engineering or law.
Yes, because I'm mad about technical matters as well, especially electricity or physics. First principles.
And which school is this? Which school is invited you? You said the school.
Well, they have not invited me yet.
Oh, they
are planning.
They are planning. Okay.
So I better keep it to myself.
Okay,
but it's a secondary school in Nicosia.
In Nicosia? Oh, right then. Okay, in Nicosia. I thought it was somewhere in Famagusta.
No.
Okay, very interesting. Now, as you said, and what is interesting to me is that the English version is not actually a translation of this book. You're writing it again.
Yes, I just look at the chapter and I start writing. It's all in my memory.
You find it easier to write it in English like that and not having to translate what you've said in Turkish.
Yes.
And this is online, again, your friend.
Yes, it is online.
Anyone who is a friend of you or who is...
Anybody who has the link can can download the latest version.
Right, and so are you writing it at the moment then, the English one? Are you stopping, starting?
Well, for the last 2 weeks, I haven't written anything, but I should start again because I've done 2/3 of it in about 10 days. So if I give it a final push of 3 or 4 days, I should finish it.
You should finish it. But you don't know whether you'll print it, though?
I'm not sure about
not sure.
that.
Depends on whether any of our viewers will insist that this book is printed. But I want to say thank you very much for sharing your wonderful memories with us, and especially since you haven't forgotten them yet. And you say you have a bad memory, you say, but thank goodness that you put in your excellent memories down on paper, which are now immortal for everyone to read.
Yes.
And I hope that, I will now look onto your site and read the English version and see how that is as well. But good luck with finishing this book.
Thank you.
Hopefully we will, all be able to enjoy it. Thank you for enlightening us on legal matters and your life. I wish you all the best. And I would like to wish you a Happy New Year as well.
Thank
happy
you.
2014.
Yes, Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ismet Ustuner.
Thank you.
And with that, we have come to the end of A Cup of Conversation for this week. As I said, my guest was the great wit and the brain of Mr. Ismet Ustuner, whose book in Turkish is called Henüz Unutmadıklarım, and this is now going to be in English only on his link on his website or on his Facebook page, so I say. So look up Mr. Ismet Ustuner and read his work. Until we meet again, hopefully for a new program in 2014, I'd like to wish everyone Happy New Year and thanks for being with Bayrak. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.